The stars gleamed cold and distant in the darkness of space. Captain Zekthor stood on the bridge of his warship, watching the scanner screens with hungry eyes. His tall frame cast a shadow across the control panels. The Krynar were built for hunting. Their thick armor-plated skin could stop most small weapons. Their forearms made them deadly in close combat. For 3 generations, his family had ruled this sector of space, taking what they wanted from weaker species. Contact on long-range sensors, his sensor officer called out. The young Krynar's voice carried excitement. Single vessel moving through Sector 947. Zekthor moved closer to the display. His lips pulled back, showing rows of sharp teeth. A smile in his species. Identification? The signature matches Terran design, Captain. A freighter-class vessel. The database shows it as the Perseverance, registered as a cargo transport. First Mate Voss stepped up beside his captain. Voss was older, more careful. Scars covered his face from years of battle. Terrans, he said slowly. We have not hunted them before. Zekthor laughed, a deep rumbling sound. Because we have never found them alone before. They always travel in groups like frightened children. He pulled up the data files on Terran ships. The information made him laugh again. Look at this. Light shields. Minimal weapons. Slow engines. They are merchants, not warriors. The reports say they are unpredictable, Voss warned. The reports say that about every species before we hunt them. Zekthor replied. He turned to his crew. Ready all ships. We will take this prize easily. The Bleeding Talon fleet consisted of 5 warships. Each one carried heavy weapons and thick armor. They had hunted successfully 8 times in the past year. Every time their prey had either surrendered or died quickly. The Krynar were apex predators. Nothing in this region of space could match them. Far ahead, the Perseverance moved through the black void. It was a boxy ship, built for carrying cargo, not fighting. Its hull was painted white with fading blue stripes. On the bridge, Captain Elena Vasquez sat in her command chair, drinking coffee from a metal cup. She was a small woman compared to the Krynar, barely over 5.5 feet tall. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Lines around her eyes showed her age, maybe 45 years. Captain, we have 5 ships approaching from behind. Her sensor officer called out. They match Krynar signatures. Elena set down her coffee cup carefully. Distance? 4 million kilometers and closing. They are moving fast. Chief Engineer Marcus Webb looked up from his station. He was a big man with strong arms and a beard that needed trimming. Pirates? He asked. Hunters, Elena corrected. She stood up and stretched. Marcus, how long until we reach the Helios debris field? Marcus checked his console. 23 minutes at current speed. Can we make it faster? I can push the engines to 110%. That will get us there in 18 minutes. Elena nodded. Do it. Tell the crew to secure for high-speed maneuvers. She touched the ship-wide communication panel. All hands, this is the captain. We have incoming hostiles. Battle stations. This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, the crew moved quickly to their positions. They were only 12 people total, small for a ship this size, but each one moved with purpose, without panic. They had done this before. In the cargo bay, 3 crew members began opening sealed containers. Inside were not trade goods or supplies. Instead, there were weapons, armor, and military equipment. The labels on the containers read, Property of Terran Colonial Defense, Authorized Personnel Only. On the Bleeding Talon, Zekthor watched the Terran ship accelerate. They run, he said with satisfaction. Like all prey runs, should we fire warning shots? His weapons officer asked. Yes, show them we are serious. 3 bolts of red energy lanced across space. They passed within a few hundred meters of the Perseverance, close enough to make their point clear but not close enough to cause damage. Elena watched the energy blasts pass her ship. Weapons officer, plot their positions. I want to know exactly where each ship is at all times. Yes, Captain. All 5 are maintaining pursuit formation. Standard hunting pattern? Of course it is, Elena said quietly. She had seen this formation before years ago when she commanded a military frigate. The hunters would spread out and surround their prey, cutting off escape routes. It was effective against panicked targets. Marcus, status on the modifications? Marcus's voice came through the speaker. Mining lasers are recalibrated. I have the cargo railguns ready. The defensive array is armed and waiting. Good. Don't activate anything until I give the word. The Perseverance entered the debris field at high speed. The Helios field was the remains of an old battle. From a war fought decades ago, thousands of pieces of metal and rock floated in a wide area. Some pieces were as small as a fist. Others were as large as a house. It was a dangerous place to fly, requiring careful navigation. The Krynar ships followed without hesitation. To them, the debris field was just another obstacle. Their shields were strong. A few impacts would not stop them. "They are hailing us," Elena's communication officer reported. "Put them through." Zekthor's face appeared on the main screen. His alien features would have frightened many humans. Elena looked at him without expression. "I am Captain Zekthor of the Bleeding Talon. You will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your cargo and ship now belong to me." Elena let fear show in her eyes. It was not hard to fake. "We cannot stop. Our cargo is too valuable. We will be ruined if we lose it." Zekthor laughed. "You will be dead if you do not stop. Choose quickly, human." "Please," Elena said, making her voice shake. "We have families. We have contracts. Just let us pass." "No." Zekthor cut the communication. Elena's face changed. The fear disappeared. Her expression became cold and hard. "That was his mistake," she said quietly. She touched her communication panel again. "All crew, the enemy has refused negotiation. We are weapons-free. I repeat, weapons-free. Initiate Protocol Hornet's Nest." Throughout the ship, acknowledgements came back. The crew was ready. Marcus began typing commands into his console. Outside the ship, in the debris field, dozens of objects began to wake up. They had been floating there for weeks, looking like ordinary debris. They were not debris. They were mines. Old human military mines placed there by Elena's crew on their last trip through this sector. The Perseverance suddenly cut its engines. The ship went dark, drifting like it had suffered a power failure. Zekthor saw this and smiled. "The prey has given up. All ships move in. Prepare boarding parties." Voss felt something cold in his chest. "Captain, something is wrong. This is too easy. You worry too much, old friend. Victory is at hand." The 5 Krynar ships moved forward, surrounding the apparently helpless Terran vessel. They closed the distance, ready to claim their prize. Then the mines activated. Dozens of them all at once. Their sensors locked onto the Krynar ships. Their engines fired, sending them toward their targets. The first explosion lit up the darkness like a small sun. The explosion tore through the first Krynar scout ship before its pilot could react. The mine had struck directly at the engine section where the shields were weakest. Metal twisted and broke. Atmosphere vented into space in a white cloud. The ship spun out of control, its systems failing. "Evasive action." Zekthor roared. His confidence vanished in an instant. Around his ship, more mines were moving. They had been hidden in the debris, looking like harmless wreckage. Now they revealed their true purpose. The second scout ship tried to turn away. It was too slow. 3 mines struck it in quick succession. The shields held for the first 2 impacts, but the third mine punched through. The ship broke apart, scattering debris that looked almost identical to the field around it. Voss grabbed his captain's arm. "We must retreat!" "This is a trap." Zekthor's eyes were wide with shock, but his pride would not let him run. "Not yet. All ships, full power to shields. Destroy those weapons." The Krynar ships began firing in all directions. Their weapons were powerful, designed to destroy other warships. Each shot that hit a mine caused a bright explosion. But there were so many mines. For every one they destroyed, 2 more seemed to appear from the debris field. Aboard the Perseverance, Elena watched her screens with calm focus. Mines are performing as expected. 2 enemy ships destroyed, 3 remaining. Marcus's voice came through the speaker. He sounded excited. "The modified systems are ready, Captain. Just give the word." "Not yet. Let them waste their ammunition on the mines. We need them confused." The Krynar weapons fire lit up the darkness. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers throughout the debris field. Slowly, the number of mines decreased. The Krynar were winning this part of the battle, destroying the automated weapons one by one. Zekthor felt his confidence returning. "See, they are only machines." "Clever, yes. But machines break." He pointed at the Perseverance, still floating dark and quiet. "That ship is helpless. We have lost 2 vessels, but we will take our prize and make the humans pay for our losses." "Captain, that freighter led us here on purpose," Voss insisted. "They knew about the mines. They planned this. Of course they planned it. But they have used their trap and it failed to destroy us. Now we will show them the price of attacking Krynar hunters. Zekthor opened a channel to all his remaining ships. Focus fire on the Terran vessel. Disable their engines. We will take them alive and make them regret this day. The 3 Krynar warships turned their weapons toward the Perseverance. Red energy beams crossed the distance, ready to tear into the helpless freighter. Then the Perseverance came to life. The ship's running lights blazed on. Its engines fired, sending it into a sharp turn that no ordinary cargo ship should be able to make. Panels on its hull slid open, revealing weapons that should not exist on a civilian vessel. Fire, Elena said calmly. The mining lasers had been designed to cut through asteroids and planetary rock. Marcus had modified them over the past 2 weeks, increasing their power and focus. Now they fired at the nearest Krynar ship. The beams were not as powerful as military weapons, but they were precise. Marcus aimed them at the weak points Elena had identified, the places where armor was thinnest. The cargo railguns had been intended to launch supply pods to distant colonies. Marcus had changed their purpose too. Now they fired heavy metal slugs at incredible speed. Each slug was as large as a human fist. They struck the Krynar shields like hammers, draining power with each impact. Zekthor's ship rocked under the attack. Warning lights flashed across his bridge. Impossible. That is a freighter. Where did those weapons come from? They are improvised, Captain, his sensor officer reported. The young Krynar's voice shook with fear, but they are effective. Our shields are at 60% and falling. Elena's tactical display showed all 3 enemy ships. She had fought battles like this before, years ago, when she commanded the frigate Resolute. That ship had been destroyed in the colony wars and Elena had barely survived. After that, she had retired from military service. But the training never left her. The instincts never faded. Marcus, concentrate fire on the ship to our port side. Target their sensor array. Got it, Captain. The mining lasers shifted focus. They carved through the Krynar ship's shields and bit into the sensor dish. Metal glowed red, then white, then melted. The ship went partially blind, its long-range sensors destroyed. The other 2 Krynar ships spread out, trying to surround the Perseverance from different angles. It was the correct tactical move. Elena had expected it. Helm, dive down 30 degrees and accelerate. Take us through that cluster of large debris. The Perseverance moved like a dancer, weaving between chunks of dead ships and broken stations. The Krynar vessels followed, but they were larger and less agile. They had to move more carefully to avoid collisions. They are trying to box us in, the helmsman said. He was young, maybe 25, but his hands were steady on the controls. Let them think they can, Elena replied. She touched her communication panel. All hands prepare for zero-gravity combat. Boarders may attempt to reach us. Throughout the ship, the crew checked their weapons and armor. Most of them were veterans like Elena. They had served in colonial defense forces or planetary militaries. When they joined the crew of the Perseverance, they had agreed to a simple rule. If trouble found them, they would fight. Zekthor watched the Terran ship maneuver through the debris. His anger grew with each passing second. This should have been an easy hunt. Now 2 of his ships were destroyed, and the prey was fighting with unexpected skill. Launch boarding pods, he ordered. If we cannot destroy them from outside, we will take them from within. 4 boarding pods launched from the remaining Krynar ships. They were small, fast, and armored. Their purpose was simple. Attach to an enemy ship, cut through the hull, and deliver warriors inside. Elena saw them coming. Defensive guns, engage those pods. Small automated turrets emerged from the Perseverance's hull. They fired streams of bullets at the incoming pods. 2 pods exploded before reaching the ship. The other 2 got through, their armor protecting them. They struck the hull with heavy impacts that echoed through the ship. Marcus checked his damage reports. They have attached to Cargo Bay 3 and the lower deck corridor. They are cutting through now. Elena stood up. She picked up a rifle from beside her chair. It was an old military model, well-maintained. I will take the Cargo Bay. Marcus, you have the corridor. Understood, Captain. In Cargo Bay 3, the Krynar boarding pod finished cutting through the hull. The circular section of metal fell inward with a clang. 5 Krynar warriors climbed through, their weapons ready. They expected to find frightened civilians. They expected easy victims. Instead, they found 3 humans in armor holding military-grade weapons using cargo containers as cover. The humans opened fire immediately. The narrow entrance of the boarding hole became a kill zone. The first 2 Krynar fell before they fully entered. The third made it through but took a bullet to the shoulder. The fourth and fifth managed to find cover behind equipment. In the corridor, Marcus and 2 other crew members faced similar resistance. The Krynar were strong and tough, but they were fighting in a human ship. The corridors were built for human-sized people. The Krynar had to crouch or bend. The humans knew every corner, every hiding spot. The battle inside the Perseverance was brutal and quick. The humans used grenades to flush out the Krynar from cover. They worked together with practiced coordination. When a Krynar tried to use his superior strength in close combat, he found himself in zero-gravity sections where strength mattered less than skill. Within 10 minutes, the boarding attempt had failed. 3 Krynar were dead, 2 were wounded and captured. The humans had 2 injuries, but nothing serious. Elena returned to the bridge, her rifle still in her hand. Seal those breaches. Get the wounded to medical. Outside, Zekthor received the news of his boarding party's failure. His 4 hands clenched in rage and disbelief. Voss stood beside him, silent and afraid. They had never failed a hunt before. Never. Elena opened a communication channel to the Krynar ships. Her face appeared on their screens. She was not smiling. Blood was smeared on her cheek from the fight, but her eyes were steady. "You should have let us pass," she said simply. Then she cut the connection. The message was clear. The prey had teeth. The cold silence of space settled over the debris field after the boarding party failed. Inside the Perseverance, the crew worked quickly to seal the hull breaches. Medical officer Sarah Chen tended to the wounded, both human and Krynar. The captured aliens sat in the cargo bay, their hands bound, their eyes watching everything with confusion and fear. Elena stood on the bridge, studying her tactical display. 3 Krynar warships remained. Her own ship had taken damage, but nothing critical. The real problem was ammunition. The improvised weapons Marcus had created were effective, but they were running low on supplies. "Status report," she said to her crew. Marcus's voice came through the speaker. "Mining lasers are at 40% capacity. We have maybe 15 minutes of firing time left. The railguns have 20 shots remaining. After that, we are down to standard defensive guns. And the enemy? Still holding position at 3,000 kilometers. They have not moved since the boarding attempt." Elena nodded slowly. She could guess what was happening on those ships. The Krynar captain was trying to decide what to do. Pride would tell him to attack. Wisdom would tell him to retreat. The question was which voice he would listen to. On the bridge of the Bleeding Talon, that exact debate was happening. Voss stood before his captain, his voice urgent. "We must withdraw. We have lost 2 ships and a boarding party. The humans are more dangerous than we thought." Zekthor's pride burned like fire in his chest. His family had ruled this sector for 3 generations. If word spread that a single Terran freighter had defeated them, their reputation would be destroyed. Other species would question their strength. Pirates and raiders would challenge their territory. "If we run now, we admit defeat," Zekthor said. "We admit that we are weak. If we stay and die, we will be dead," Voss replied. "There is no shame in retreating from an unexpected threat. We can return with more ships, better planning." Zekthor looked at his old friend. Voss had served with him for 20 years. He had never given bad advice, but the thought of running from prey was like poison in Zekthor's mind. "We still outnumber them 3-1. Our weapons are stronger. Our shields are better. One lucky trap does not change that." "It was not luck, Captain. They led us here on purpose. They prepared for this battle. They are warriors, not merchants. Then we will defeat them as warriors." Zekthor turned to his crew. "All ships assume attack formation Delta. We will destroy that ship with coordinated fire. They cannot defend against all of us at once." Voss closed his eyes for a moment. He knew this was a mistake, but he also knew his captain would not change his mind. "As you command." The 3 Krynar warships moved into position. They formed a triangle around the Perseverance, each ship at a different angle. This formation allowed them to fire from multiple directions at once. Any shield the humans raised would be weak somewhere. Elena watched them move. They are committing to the attack. "All crew, prepare for heavy combat." She touched the controls on her command chair, pulling up encrypted files. These files contained information she had hoped not to use. They were backup plans, last resorts. She had prepared them weeks ago before leaving the last human outpost. Marcus came onto the bridge. He was sweating and his hands were dirty from working on the ship's systems. "Captain, we cannot fight all 3 of them at once. Even with the modifications, we are outgunned. I know, Elena said calmly. She looked at her old friend. They had served together in the colony wars, survived battles that killed thousands. Do you remember the cargo we are carrying? Marcus's eyes widened. You cannot be serious. That equipment is meant for the colony defense force. If we use it here, we will arrive with nothing to deliver. If we do not use it, we will not arrive at all. Elena opened the cargo manifest on her screen. Container 17 through 34. Authorization code Vasquez 77 Alpha. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. I will prepare them. How long? 5 minutes, you have 3. Marcus ran from the bridge. Elena opened the ship-wide communication channel. All crew, we are deploying the cargo. I repeat, we are deploying the cargo. Clear the launch bay and prepare for defensive drone operations. In the cargo hold, automatic systems began opening sealed containers. Inside were not weapons for humans to use, but weapons that operated on their own. Military drones, each one the size of a small car. They were designed for space combat, equipped with missiles and guns. 20 of them in total. The colony was supposed to use them to defend against raiders. Now they would serve a different purpose. The Krynar ships began their attack. Red energy beams crossed space from 3 directions. The Perseverance's shields flared bright as they absorbed the impacts. Warning alarms sounded on the bridge. Shields at 70%, the defense officer called out. They are concentrating fire on our starboard side. Helm, rotate us. Do not let them focus on one section. Elena watched the enemy ships on her display. She was looking for patterns, for mistakes. Every commander had habits. Every crew had routines. The Perseverance spun slowly, spreading the damage across its shields. The mining lasers fired back, but they were weaker than the Krynar weapons. The railguns launched their remaining slugs, forcing one enemy ship to adjust its position. Then Marcus's voice came through the speaker. Cargo is ready, Captain. Waiting for your command. Deploy. The side of the Perseverance opened like a flower blooming. 20 drones launched into space, their engines firing in perfect coordination. They spread out in a wide pattern surrounding the Krynar ships. Zekthor saw them appear on his sensors. What are those? Unknown small craft, his sensor officer reported. They are armed. Multiple weapon signatures. Destroy them. But the drones were small and fast. They had been designed by humans who understood warfare. Each drone moved independently but also worked with the others. They swarmed like insects, attacking from multiple angles. The first missiles struck Zekthor's ship. The shields held, but barely. More missiles came from different directions. The Krynar weapons tried to track the small, fast targets, but the drones were programmed to evade. One of the other Krynar ships, already damaged from the earlier mine attacks, took heavy fire from 5 drones at once. Its shields collapsed. Missiles struck the hull directly. Secondary explosions rippled across the ship's surface. Get us out of here, the captain of that ship screamed. His vessel turned and accelerated away from the battle, trailing debris and venting atmosphere. Now there were only 2 Krynar ships left. The odds had changed. Elena pressed her advantage. All weapons, focus on the damaged vessel. Marcus, get every last shot from those railguns. The Perseverance and its drone swarm concentrated their attack on one ship. It was the vessel that had lost its sensor array earlier. The Krynar crew fought bravely, but they were fighting blind. Without sensors, they could not track all the threats around them. A mining laser carved through their shield generator. The protective field around the ship flickered and died. Drones swooped in, firing missiles at close range. The Krynar ship tried to flee, but it was too slow. Explosions tore through the engine section. The ship went dark and began drifting. Zekthor watched his fleet fall apart around him. 2 ships destroyed, 1 fleeing, 1 disabled. Only the Bleeding Talon remained in the fight. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. They were waiting for orders. Pride warred with survival instinct in Zekthor's mind. He had never retreated from a hunt. His father had never retreated. His grandfather had never retreated. But they had never faced an enemy like this. Voss stepped close and spoke quietly. Captain, we must go, now, while we still can. Elena saw the last Krynar ship hesitating. She could finish them. The drones had enough missiles left, but destroying them would mean killing everyone on board. She thought about the captured Krynar in her cargo bay. Young warriors who had been following orders. She thought about the wounded she had treated. She made a decision. Drones, defensive formation. Do not fire unless fired upon. She opened a communication channel to the bleeding Talon. Crinar vessel, you have one chance. Leave now or we will destroy you. Zekthor appeared on her screen. His face showed shock and rage and something else. Respect, perhaps. You defeated us, he said quietly. I did not believe prey could do this. We are not prey, Elena replied. Her voice was hard. We are humans. Remember that. For a long moment, the two captains stared at each other across the void. Then Zekthor nodded slowly. I will remember. His ship turned and began accelerating away from the battle. Elena watched him go. She did not lower her weapons until the Crinar ship was out of range. Marcus came back onto the bridge. He looked exhausted. They are leaving. Yes. We won. We survived, Elena corrected. She looked at the debris field around them, at the destroyed ships, at the drifting lifeboats from the Crinar vessels. Now comes the hard part. We need to rescue the survivors. The Perseverance drifted through the debris field, its running lights reflecting off broken metal and scattered wreckage. The battle was over, but the work had just begun. Lifeboats floated in the darkness carrying Crinar survivors from the destroyed ships. Some were injured. All were shocked. Elena stood on the bridge watching the rescue operations on her screens. Her crew was bringing the survivors aboard, one boat at a time. It was dangerous work. Any of the Crinar could still be hostile. But it was also the right thing to do. Marcus appeared beside her, holding 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Elena. Medical says we have space for maybe 30 more survivors. After that, we will be overcrowded. How many are still out there? 42, according to the life sign scans. Elena sipped her coffee. It was bitter and strong, the way she liked it. We will find room. We are not leaving anyone to die out here. The crew will not like it. These aliens tried to kill us an hour ago. I know, but we are not pirates or murderers. We will treat the survivors according to galactic law. She looked at Marcus. Besides, they need to tell their people what happened here. Marcus understood. This battle was not just about survival. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. Humans were not easy prey. In the cargo bay, Sarah Chen worked on the injured Crinar. The aliens were larger than humans and built differently, but injuries were injuries. Broken bones, burns, and cuts needed treatment no matter what species you were. Some of the Crinar flinched when she approached them. Others watched her with curious eyes. One young Crinar, his arm wrapped in bandages, spoke to her in broken standard language. Why you help us? We attack you. Sarah did not look up from her work. She was setting another Crinar's broken leg. Because you are hurt. That is reason enough. Crinar do not help defeated enemies. We are not Crinar. Sarah finished with the leg and moved to the next patient. We are human. We fight when we must, but we do not kill when we do not have to. The young Crinar was quiet for a moment. I do not understand your species. Good, Sarah replied. That means you might think twice before attacking another human ship. Hours passed as the Perseverance gathered the survivors. The cargo bay filled with injured Crinar. Some needed surgery. Others just needed rest. Sarah and her medical team worked without stopping, moving from patient to patient. On the bridge, Elena received a communication from the bleeding Talon. Zekthor's ship had stopped accelerating. It was far away now, at the edge of sensor range, but still within communication distance. Captain Vasquez, Zekthor's voice came through the speaker. I wish to speak with you. Elena gestured for the communication officer to open a video channel. Zekthor's face appeared on the main screen. He looked older than before. Tired. The confidence was gone from his eyes. You are rescuing my warriors, Zekthor said. Yes. Galactic law requires it. Crinar law does not. We would leave your people to die. I know, Elena said. That is one difference between our species. Zekthor was quiet for a moment. His 4 hands moved restlessly, a sign of discomfort in his species. I have been a hunter for 40 years. I have hunted 30 species across 20 systems. Never have I met prey that fought like you. We are not prey, Elena said again. Her voice was firm but not angry. That is what you need to understand. Humans are not weak. We choose peace when we can. But we are very, very good at war. I see that now. Zekthor looked at something off-screen, then back at Elena. Your ship is damaged. You are far from your territory. You have many prisoners who could still be dangerous. Why not kill them? It would be easier. Elena considered her answer carefully. This was important, not just for this conversation, but for what would happen next. Because we believe that strength is not just about who can kill the most. Real strength is knowing when to stop killing. Real power is choosing mercy when you could choose vengeance. That sounds like weakness to me. Does it? Elena leaned forward. Your fleet attacked us. We destroyed or disabled 4 of your 5 ships. We killed your warriors when they boarded us. We could have destroyed your flagship too, but we let you live. Was that weakness? Or was that us showing you that we could win, and choosing to stop anyway? Zekthor's eyes narrowed. He was thinking, processing. You are saying you defeated us completely, that you held our lives in your hands, yes, and you chose to let us live. Yes. Why? Elena smiled, but it was not a warm smile. So you could go home and tell your people what happened here. So the word would spread. So the next time a Crinner ship sees a human vessel, they will remember this day. Understanding dawned in Zekthor's eyes. This was not mercy. This was strategy. The humans were using him as a messenger. Every Crinner who heard this story would think twice before attacking humans. The defeat would spread fear more effectively than destroying every ship would have. You are clever, Zekthor said. There was respect in his voice now. More clever than I thought. We have been fighting wars since before we could travel the stars, Elena replied. We learned these lessons in blood on our own world against our own kind. We know how to send messages. We know how to make examples, and we know how to make sure those examples are remembered. Zekthor nodded slowly. What do you want from me? Your warriors will be returned to you when we reach the next station. They will be unharmed and well treated. In exchange, you will tell everyone what happened here. You will tell them that human ships may look like easy targets, but they are not. You will tell them that humans are dangerous when provoked. And if I refuse, then we will tell the story ourselves. But it will be better if it comes from you. Other species will believe a Crinnar hunter more than they will believe a human merchant. Zekthor thought about this. His pride was wounded, but he was not stupid. The humans were offering him a way to turn this defeat into something useful. A warning that would protect both his people and theirs from future bloodshed. I will do as you ask, he said finally. But I have a question. Your ship is a freighter, yet you fought like a military vessel. How? Elena glanced at Marcus, who nodded. She looked back at Zekthor. Every human ship in space has a crew trained for combat. Every captain has military experience. Every engineer knows how to make weapons from mining tools. We do not show this to the galaxy because we prefer peaceful trade. But make no mistake, we are always ready for war. Your species is paranoid. Our species is cautious. We have enemies. We have rivals. We have learned that the galaxy is dangerous. So we prepare. Every ship that leaves human space carries hidden weapons, trained crew, and emergency plans. The Perseverance is not special. We are normal. Zekthor absorbed this information. If the humans were telling the truth, then every human ship in space was potentially a warship in disguise. The implications were staggering. How many other species had made the same mistake he did? How many had attacked human vessels thinking they were easy prey? How many ships do humans have in this sector? He asked. Enough. Elena did not elaborate. Let him wonder. Let him worry. The communication ended soon after. Zekthor's ship jumped to faster than light speed and disappeared. Elena sat back in her chair and let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking slightly. The adrenaline from the battle was finally wearing off. Marcus sat down beside her. That was well done, Captain. It was necessary. Elena looked at the damage reports on her screen. The Perseverance had taken a beating. Hull breaches, damaged systems, depleted ammunition. They would need weeks in a repair dock. How long until we reach Haven Station? 3 days at current speed. We cannot push the engines any harder in their condition. 3 days with 40-plus Crinnar prisoners and limited supplies. This will be interesting. The crew is already complaining about the smell. Crinnar apparently have very different ideas about hygiene. Elena laughed tiredly. Tell them to deal with it. Those prisoners are our proof that this happened. When we reach the station, I want every species in the sector to see Crinnar warriors being returned by a human freighter. I want them to see that we won. You are thinking like a politician now. I am thinking like a survivor. Elena stood up and stretched. Her back hurt. Her head hurt. But she was alive, and so was her crew. I am going to check on the wounded. You have the bridge. Aye, Captain. As Elena walked through the corridors of her damaged ship, she passed crew members working on repairs. They looked exhausted but proud. They had faced a superior enemy and won through courage, planning, and skill. That was worth celebrating. But Elena knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of, and she was not sure if that was a good thing or a terrifying thing. Maybe it was both. 3 days later, the Perseverance limped into Haven Station. The station was a massive structure floating in space, built by a coalition of species for trade and commerce. Ships from dozens of worlds docked here. It was neutral ground where business happened and news spread quickly. Elena stood on the bridge as they approached. The station's control tower had already noticed the damage to her ship. They had also noticed the Krynar lifeboats attached to her hull and the unusual power signatures from the cargo bay. Haven control to Perseverance. A voice came through the communication system. It belonged to a Vex, one of the insect-like species that managed most galactic stations. You are showing significant battle damage. Do you require emergency assistance? This is Captain Vasquez of the Perseverance. We require docking and repair facilities. We also have 43 survivors from another species who need to be returned to their people. There was a pause. Elena could imagine the confusion in the control tower. A human freighter damaged in battle carrying survivors? That was unusual. Understood, Perseverance. You are cleared for docking Bay 7. Medical teams are being dispatched. Please transmit a full report of the incident. Will do, Haven Control. Thank you. The Perseverance docked slowly. The process took longer than usual because of the damage to the maneuvering thrusters. But finally the ship settled into place with a heavy clang. The docking clamps locked on. The airlock connected. Elena opened the cargo bay doors remotely. Krynar survivors began filing out, escorted by her crew. Many of them were bandaged or limping. All of them looked confused to be alive. On the station's docking level, a crowd had gathered. Word had spread quickly. People wanted to see the Krynar warriors who had been defeated by a human freighter. Station security kept the crowd back, but they could not stop the staring and whispered conversations. Zekthor was waiting on the station. He had arrived a day earlier and had been granted temporary diplomatic status while waiting for his warriors. When he saw them walking off the Perseverance, his expression was complicated. Relief that they were alive. Shame that they had been captured. Confusion about what this all meant. Elena walked down the cargo ramp to meet him. She had cleaned up and changed into a fresh uniform, but there were still dark circles under her eyes. Behind her, Marcus and Sarah followed. Captain Zekthor, Elena said formally, I return your warriors to you. They were treated well and their injuries were cared for. Zekthor looked at his warriors. Then he looked at Elena. You kept your word. Humans usually do. Not all species would have. We are not all species. Elena gestured to the crowd watching them. Your warriors have stories to tell. I suggest they tell them honestly. Zekthor understood. This moment was being watched by representatives from dozens of species. Whatever happened here would spread across the station, then across the sector, then across the galaxy. The story would grow with each telling. Before I go, Zekthor said, I must know something. Was your ship truly just a freighter? Or were you a disguised warship? Elena smiled. Come see for yourself. She led him into the cargo bay. The containers that had held the military drones were empty now, their contents deployed and lost in the battle. But the rest of the bay showed what it really was, a commercial vessel. Trade goods, civilian equipment, supplies for colonies. We are exactly what we appear to be, Elena said. A cargo ship. But we are also a human ship, and every human ship is prepared for trouble. She took him to the mining lasers that Marcus had modified. Zekthor could see where civilian equipment had been altered for combat. It was clever work, but clearly improvised. Not military grade. Just desperate ingenuity. You beat us with mining tools, Zekthor said quietly. We beat you with planning, experience, and the knowledge that we might need to fight someday. The tools were just tools. The real weapons were up here. Elena tapped her head. Humans have been fighting for thousands of years. We know how to think like warriors even when we dress like merchants. Zekthor was silent for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He placed one of his forehands over his chest in what Elena recognized as a Krynar gesture of respect. You are a worthy opponent, Captain Vasquez. I am glad I survived to say that. I am glad you survived to warn others, Elena replied. Make sure they understand the message. They will. I promise you that. The two captains parted. Zekthor gathered his warriors and left the station on a ship sent by his clan. Elena watched them go, then turned her attention to the more practical matters of repairing her ship. Over the next week, as the Perseverance sat in the repair dock, the story spread. Every species on the station heard about it. The details varied depending on who told it, but the core message was always the same. A human freighter had been attacked by Krynar hunters and had won decisively. The station's information brokers picked up the story and sold it across their networks. Merchant captains added it to their collection of spacer tales. News services ran reports about the incident, and everywhere the story went, it changed how people thought about humans. Elena gave one official interview to a multi-species news network. She sat in front of cameras and answered questions carefully. Captain Vasquez, some species are calling this incident an example of human deception. They say you disguised a warship as a civilian vessel. What is your response? Elena looked directly into the camera. The Perseverance is exactly what it appears to be. A registered cargo vessel operated by civilians. We were not looking for a fight. We were attacked without provocation while conducting legal trade. But you had military-grade weapons. We had mining equipment that we modified for defense. Any ship traveling in dangerous space would do the same. What we had was training and preparation. Every member of my crew is a veteran of human military service. That is common among human spacers. Why is that common? Because we come from a dangerous world. Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and our own wars. We learned early that being prepared is the difference between life and death. When we went to space, we brought that lesson with us. The interviewer, a feathered species called Rix, tilted its head. Are you saying all human ships are potential warships? I am saying all human ships have crews that know how to defend themselves. We prefer peace and profit. But if attacked, we will respond with everything we have. Elena leaned forward slightly. The galaxy should understand this. Humans are not aggressive. We are not conquerors, but we are survivors. And we remember those who try to harm us. The interview went viral across dozens of worlds. It was played and replayed, analyzed and discussed. Some species saw it as a threat. Others saw it as a fair warning. A few saw it as an opportunity, thinking that if humans were this capable, they would make good allies. Marcus watched the interview in the ship's common room with the rest of the crew. When it ended, he turned to Sarah. The captain just changed how the galaxy sees us. Is that good or bad? Sarah asked. I do not know yet, but it is definitely different. 2 weeks after arriving at Haven Station, the Perseverance was ready to fly again. The hull was patched. The systems were repaired. New supplies were loaded. The crew was rested and healthy. Elena stood on the bridge preparing to depart. Marcus sat at his engineering station. The rest of the crew were at their posts. All systems green, Marcus reported. We are ready whenever you are, Captain. Elena looked at the star charts on her screen. Their destination was still the same, New Terra colony, where they were supposed to deliver supplies and equipment. But now they were arriving with less cargo than planned and much more attention than desired. Haven Control, this is Perseverance requesting departure clearance. Clearance granted, Perseverance. Safe travels, Captain. The ship undocked and moved away from the station slowly. Once they were clear, Elena ordered an acceleration to cruising speed. The stars stretched around them as they moved deeper into space. Captain, the sensor officer called out, I am picking up several ships altering course to intercept us. Elena's hand went to her weapon console, but then the identification signals came through. The ships were not hostile. They were human merchant vessels changing their routes to travel near the Perseverance. A communication came in from one of them. Perseverance, this is the cargo hauler New Dawn. We heard about your fight with the Krynar. Thought you might like some company on your journey. Elena smiled. New Dawn, this is Vasquez. Company would be appreciated. Another ship chimed in. This is the transport Bright Horizon. We are adjusting our course to join you as well. And another. This is the freighter Star Chaser. Room for one more in this convoy? By the time they reached the jump point, 6 human ships were traveling together. They formed a loose formation, their running lights creating a constellation in the darkness. Marcus came to stand beside Elena's chair. A convoy was not part of the plan. No, Elena agreed. But it is a good idea. The galaxy thinks we are dangerous now. Let us show them we are also united. She opened a shipwide channel. All crew, this is the captain. Our mission was to deliver cargo safely. We accomplished that, though not in the way we expected. We also sent a message to the galaxy. Humans are not prey. We will not be hunted. We will not be easy victims, but we will also not become the monsters that hunted us. We will be fair, we will be strong, and we will be ready. This is who we are. This is what it means to be HFY.